Welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities. Presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, 4-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Tonight we have an amazing special VIP guest by the name of Jessica Lundy. A little bit about her. Jessica Lundy is an award-winning TV host, media trainer, certified life coach, and speaker who's determined to help people live their best lives by adopting a winning mindset. While attending Eastern Michigan University, she started Jessica's Jewels Pageant Coaching, which allowed her to travel the country, empowering young women to accomplish their dreams. From winning her dream job as a TV host in a major market after competing with over 1,200 people to winning her honeymoon in beautiful Cancun, Mexico. Jessica fully embraces the power of attracting one's desires by having the right mindset and systems in place. Through the TV hosting opportunity with TV 20 Detroit, Jessica was instrumental in creating several new segments for the station. During this time, the Maury Show approached her to guest co-host a special Caught on Tape Holiday Edition episode where she showcased viral videos. Jessica was also voted Detroit's best local TV talk show host and has now channeled her knowledge of the television industry into creating media strategies for major corporations, nonprofit organizations, and small business owners. Her most recent endeavor, Wake Up and Win with Jessica Lundy, is an innovative audio affirmation CD which inspires listeners to embrace a mindset of clarity, productivity, peace, and happiness each morning. In addition to this effort, she loves being a part of the transformation process through the one-on-one work with clients of all facets. As a personal development manager for the past 15 years, Jessica has used her expertise in a variety of industries to help her clients start companies, maximize media opportunities, experience work-life balance, and weight loss through accountability support. She will soon expand her reach through international speaking engagements, writing books, and hosting her own TV show to help clients around the world double their income and bring dreams into reality. Welcome to the table, the amazing Jessica Lundy.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. I'm excited for today.
You are welcome. I am so excited to have you at the table because I know you are going to share some amazing wisdom and knowledge with my listeners. But I know they have heard your amazing bio, so please tell us more about your entrepreneur journey.
Wow. My entrepreneurial journey actually started in high school. I was doing it before it was trendy. My friends didn't really understand the fact that I was a business owner and was a student and wore many hats. But something I always say, entrepreneurship, it's really ingrained into you if you're going to be successful. I think so often people are so excited about hustling and grinding, but really it's about strategies, and it's about taking this time to create business plans and to truly do the work on paper. And I started a consulting business at the age of 15 because people constantly kept approaching me to do it. And I always say you've got to listen to your audience. If your audience is telling you to create products, create them. If they're asking you to coach them, coach them. And that's really, what started my entrepreneurship journey.
I love that. And you're so right about creating content and listening to your audience. Can you talk more about that more? Because I know a lot of listeners they're probably listening. They have TV, they have radio shows, podcast shows. So why is content, developing great content so important?
It really is everything because in this society, content is so easily consumed, right? So, back in the day, you could just watch television or you could just watch the radio. Now you've got podcasts, blogs, IGTV, Facebook Live. There's so many different platforms for people to consume content. So if you're not serving the people that are your faithful fans, then they'll just go somewhere else. And we live in such a society that people get bored so easily. So if they're constantly telling you in the comments, love to see more food stuff, and then you never post food videos, they're just going to go to somebody else who will give them what they want. So it's about finding the balance because you still want to be authentic to yourself. That is key. You don't want to do stuff that doesn't make sense. But usually people are asking for things because they've seen it in you. And sometimes people will see something in you before you even see it in yourself. Ashley?
Oh, I don't know what happened. I think we went out. Jessica, so you're determined to help people live their best lives by adopting a winning mindset. So please tell us more about your passion.
Yeah, I've been passionate about helping people my whole life. I always tell my clients to think back to the things that you were passionate about when you were in elementary school, when you were in middle school, when you were in high school. And there's always been that stream of helping people. I have worked with some of the best business coaches and strategists in the world. And I've been fortunate enough to work with them, so I've been able to expand that knowledge to people all around the country and internationally as well. And so I just feel it's a personal mission to make people successful. I think there's success in everyone, but a lot of people don't know how to tap into it. So that was one of the reasons I became a certified life coach, so that I can go a little bit deeper, because a lot of times people aren't achieving success because they're still struggling with issues from their childhood. They're struggling with issues that they've never taken the time to process, and now they're trying to be in entrepreneurship, or they're trying to work their way up the corporate ladder, and they're still dealing with emotional trauma that they really haven't taken the time to deal with. And so I like to help people kind of deal with the things that are a little bit more uncomfortable so that they can get the things they really desire.
And I love that you created that, platform to be able to do that too, because I consistently follow you. You're doing some amazing things, and everything starts with the mindset, right? That winning mindset, it all starts there. No matter what's going on, whatever we're desiring to do, we have to make sure we're having that positive mindset and manifesting it on a daily basis. So I love that you continuously promote the affirmations and speaking those things into existence.
Absolutely. I mean, mindset is everything. I mean, it really is the reason that the one percenters are where they are. It's why the Olympians are where they are. Some of the best, most successful people in the world, truly, it's their mindset. It's their determination. They don't sleep if need be, right? They're willing to sacrifice some cake so that they can, be an Olympian. They're willing to make some sacrifices that everyone else isn't willing to make. And that is the reason that they are successful. It's because they have the mindset of a champion. And I competed in pageants when I was younger, and that's what really gave me a competitive edge. And that's when people would ask me, why do you win all the time? Because I'm not the tallest person, and that used to be kind of a factor in winning, and I would still win, and I'm African American, and there's a lot of things that quote unquote people would say is working against me. But I have always believed in myself at a very high rate. I've always been a very confident person, and I always say confidence is a choice. It is teachable, but it's a choice. You can choose to be confident, or you can choose to lack it. And I think we have to get in the mindset of one of my mentors, Jack Canfield, who wrote Sugar Soup for the Soul, The Secret. He sold over 1 billion copies of his book. It's just a genius in the personal development space. He always says you have to take 100% responsibility for your life. And I think if you can really take that in and choose every day to not blame, to not be lazy, just to be persistent, despite how you feel, right? A lot of times we're so swayed by our feelings. Despite how you feel, then you can overcome anything. And once you can tell your mind that you can do it, then that's when stuff starts to work out for you. Like I tell people, I was telling people I was a TV host, so I was even on television. I have my own, I just woke up. I always wanted to be on TV. I looked up to like Wendy Williams and Oprah, and just thought they were doing great things and thought there was a space for me. And one day I was just like, you know what? No one's just going to call me out of the blue. I got to start my own stuff. And so I'm a huge advocate of people starting their own content and then putting themselves in the right situations and the right rooms and on the right tables to be able to get that stuff bought, or to be able to position yourself where you can showcase them and say, hey, this is what I've done on my own. if I had your resources, I could do so much better.
Thank you for sharing those amazing nuggets. I know our listeners are definitely learning stuff already because that's so important. And speaking of manifesting and speaking things into existence, you have been doing amazing in the television industry. And I know we have some listeners that are aspiring to, become TV hosts. So what are some strategies you would give to listeners who are aspiring to become TV hosts?
I get asked this question very, very often. I'm just gonna keep it real. Some of it really comes down to skill set and determination. Mm-hmm. Skill set is important, right? Because I work with a lot of young journalists, and I have mentees and people that want to work under me, and I just keep it. I'm just honest because I've been in the industry since I was a kid. So everybody's not gonna be a TV host. I mean, there's just certain things. Now, you can be in a small market, but you have to know what your goal is. I mean, there's over 250 markets, where it starts with a small town in Idaho, or you're trying to be in New York, LA, Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta. So you kind of have to be realistic with where are you willing to start and how far do you want to go, and how much are you willing to put into it? Because we live in this YouTube, Facebook Live society that kind of empowers everybody to create their own content, which is amazing. You got to start somewhere. I think I always tell people this is excellent practice. But when you're wanting to transition into the network level, then you've got the Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, My Network, and then even bigger affiliates that are your representation of their brand. And so you have to align your personality with theirs, right? And so I think the challenging thing, and I'll just be honest, for me is I did it the way that I'm telling everybody else to do. You create your own content and you go to network. But there's a lot of rules, right? And you don't have the freedom. And so you have to decide if you're wanting to do it at a top market, national television. You've got to be very flexible. I remember being at NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, the conference, and there were a lot of Black women that were there asking questions about their natural hair on air. And I remember one of the journalists she worked for, I won't say the network, but she's a national correspondent. And she said, as much as I love wearing my hair natural, I know that I will go further in my career straight. These are decisions you have to make. And so I think sometimes people have the mindset of I want to wear my hair the way I want to. Oh, I want to be in control of my weight. I got to do all this stuff. When you can sign a network, there are expectations that go along with that. So I say, one, focus on your craft. Take classes. Hosting classes, I'm not going to lie, can get very expensive, but it's worth it. It's how far do you want to go in your career? Being a part of, there's so many different professional organizations for news broadcasters, but I was part of NABJ, and that was just excellent. It's a lot of support there. Connecting with people in the industry, not being afraid to reach out to people on social. I have young journalists reach out to me all the time and say, hey, love to be where you are, love to do some stuff you did. What do I need to do? Well, that's a very broad question, so you got to be a little bit more focused. But I think those are some of the best things is being consistent with your content, be coachable, right? So, if you have that mindset where, no one can tell you anything, well, that's going to be challenging because your news director is going to have plenty of things to tell you, right? Your managers are going to have plenty of things to say. So I think be coachable. Work harder than anyone else in the room. It's really key. When I was at the station, people were working 40 hours a week. I was working 60. And then when I was working 60, I was still coming home every day doing anchor practice with myself. I have a teleprompter app, and I run my own lines by myself. So it's just about being persistent. I had some interns once, and it's just kind of getting in the room is half the battle. It really is. It's putting yourself in the right room and being humble enough to do that at whatever the cost is. And I think sometimes because we live in such an instant gratification society, we feel like we should be stars the next day because we're good. But the reality is everybody's good. So what are you going to do to be great? What are you going to do that's going to make you stand out? Like, I have a super big personality and a super big smile. So I tell everybody can't be Jessica Lundy because, you know what I mean? Like, that's not authentic for some people to be so big and so bubbly and all of that. But that has worked for me. So some people are very serious journalists. Like, I don't like doing serious stories. I like the lifestyle, you know. So you got to know what works for you and then, like, 150% lean into it and spend the money. Be willing to invest. That is something I can't say enough. Whether that was on the TV host side, I invested. Whether that now I'm a full-time professional speaker traveling around the country, soon to be traveling around the world speaking, I invested. I have invested with some of the top business coaches. I mean, one thing, like I always tell people, if your business or your career isn't together, you do not need to be buying Beyonce tickets. I'm going to say that one time. I'm going to say that one more time.
Say it again.
If your career or your entrepreneurship endeavors are not where they need to be, you need to be investing with business coaches. You need to be investing with strategists, hosting coaching, media training. I mean, I tell my clients that all the time, you know, if you got to make the decision, you need to make sacrifice to other places. You can't afford entertainment right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to be willing to make some sacrifices. That's the only way you're going to succeed in this competitive environment.
Absolutely. Everything that you said, because I know Pam Perry is one of the, she said on my show a couple of months ago, those who show up, go up. And that is so true.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing those pointers, because I know we have some listeners that are aspiring to be on TV. So those are definitely some pointers that I hope every listener has jotted down, or definitely, make sure you remember it, because it's so important when getting to the next level in any industry. So what are the pros and cons?
Let me add one more nugget. I'm going to throw a bonus in. Bonus nugget. Go on YouTube, especially if you're wanting to be a TV host or a reporter, go on YouTube and use that as your research platform, right? So once I decided, like, what kind of host I wanted to be, I started looking up demo reels. And then I created a demo reel based on what I thought was the best reel I ever saw. And then I made mine better. So utilize YouTube for research, because some of the best people that are doing it. Now, granted, yes, your top anchors and reporters and hosts might not have a reel up there, but people that are really, really close to that are really, really good, they do. And so I think seeing what's out there, that gives you a very realistic approach to where you're at. Because you can think you're good, and then you see the best person, and you're like, dang, I got some work to do. And it's humbling. It should be. You know what I mean? Like, it should be humbling. So I wanted to put that out there, because you can see some cool stuff on YouTube and allow it to inspire you, not intimidate.
Right. Key thing, key word, inspire you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are the pros and cons of the television industry? Because there's always pros, and we have our cons as well.
Absolutely. There's tons of pros. The biggest is credibility. The credibility that I have from being on television is priceless. I could not pay for this level of credibility. Publicists try to, and I love publicists. I'm not knocking publicists by all. I love PR. Like, those are some of my closest friends. Publicists try to create that for their clients, but there's nothing like being an on-air talent. It's just a different level of celebrity, if that makes sense. It's just a very unique skill set, and the response I get, I mean, I could be with doctors and surgeons that have saved people's lives, and when people hear I was on local and national television, it's like, what? Like, the response is priceless. So it really is worth all the work. The people you get to meet is incredible. Like, I remember when I interviewed Usher. It was a really cool experience. Being on the Maury show, surprisingly, was a very incredible experience. I did a ton of research before that ended up being a situation, but it was so good for my career. So I think there's so many benefits. The people you work with, like the people that actually work in the TV station, a lot of people always think about the on-air personalities, but they don't get to meet the incredible producers or the amazing directors. I was like best friends with my directors, and they just make my life so much easier. The photographers, I think that's the biggest thing to being successful in this industry too, is being humble.
Yeah.
Talking to everybody, the janitor, the people who get your mail, the people who controlling the lines when you have meet and greets, like just being humble and just appreciating everybody and never getting so big that you forget where you started. So those are definitely the pros. I mean, you get that celebrity feel, which is cool. The cons is it's still a job. And I think that's the hardest part of the industry that you don't understand until you work at the network level, right? So so you're kind of sold on a dream, like, oh, you just see you see the 1 hour show, right? You see the couple spots the reporter has. You see the morning show. You think they're there an hour. No, they're still working 8 hours. Everybody's working 8 hours. And most people are working more than 8 hours, right? Because if it's breaking news, you're not going home because it's breaking news. You're staying there, right? And so, like, if you're on and if you're right, I mean, it's a job that never ends. And so that's the challenging thing, balancing that work-life balance, because especially when you're new, like when you solidify the spot, you've been there like at the station like 10 years. Everybody knows your name. You're a household name. Life is a little bit different for you. But those first 5 years, sometimes 10, sometimes people never become that, right? You're just grinding and grinding and grinding and constantly proving yourself and constantly working extra hours. And then on the entertainment side, people think you just show up for the red carpet. No, that's a bonus, right? So it's like you've already worked your morning show or your most people who do late night interviews, if it's like a local television show, they're usually on the morning show, and then they're still doing stuff at night. And then they got to be at work at 1 o'clock in the morning to shoot the 8 o'clock show. So I think realizing how much work that you have to do is different than a lot of people expect. And it's different when you're coming from a super small market than when you're playing with the big boys. It's just different. You've got more help, right? So, like, every time I went out, I always had a photographer. Like, I wasn't shooting my own stuff. The MMJ, multimedia journalist, is kind of like the wave that everybody's going. They're wanting reporters to shoot and edit and be talent, which for me, I refuse. So I think you have to be okay with holding your ground and saying it confident enough where it's not an issue, right? So you're like, hey, Jessica, could you do this? No, I can't do that. And they're like, oh, really? Yes. Well, what are they going to say? They could fire me and I could just go somewhere else. You have to be confident in your skill set, because there will be conversations that will happen some point in your career where you want to say no. Or they're like, hey, could you lose some weight? You know what I mean? There's certain different things that can come up. And when they hit you, you don't know how you're going to respond. You forgot you're an employee. So so that's some important things to think about, as you're wanting to get in the market. It's just kind of get your foot in the door, especially like if you're in college, get an internship. I did not do that. I was actually planning to be a doctor, actually. I've always wanted to be on TV, but in high school I was had an internship to be an orthopedic surgeon. I was really into that until I got to college, and I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. But internships are key because you really got to get in there and see what works. I remember this one girl, and we still kind of interact today. She was interning in the sales department, but she came up to me the first day of her internship and was like, hey, I want to be just like you, whatever you need, coffee, selfies, video, whatever, I will do anything you need. And she ended up going to the morning show with me. So, you know, you never know, just making yourself available. That person may never use you to do anything, but the fact that you said, I got you, they will respect you, and they will share with you as much as they can.
You know what? Everything you said, I'm glad that people are listening, because you are giving some amazing nuggets, because it's so important, right, that we put ourselves in those right positions and get it, like you said, get in the room and, you know, be upfront with ourselves and making sure that we're chasing the impact and chasing our purpose, right? Because that's key to in any industry. And I know as far as television, you got to be passionate about it, right? You have to get into it and actually be successful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not gonna make it, because it's so exhausting that if you don't love it, like, so I got to a point where I love television. Like I said, at some point I'll probably have my own nationally syndicated talk show, like definitely something I want to do down the line, but I got to be executive producer. Like once you're in, then you're like, oh, okay, this is how I want to do it again, but differently, right? So I'm putting some stuff strategically in place to be able to do that so that I can kind of wear the hat. But I think it's important to just be flexible, you know what I mean, and be passionate. But one day I was asked to do a commencement and a career day and all this. I kept doing all this stuff at the school, and it was like, man, this is my purpose. Now that was my passion. TV is my passion, but empowering the next generation is my purpose. That was the reason I was created on earth. So I had to, like, right now I'm fully leaned into that. Now, granted, I still do some, you know, guest spots and stuff on TV because that's my passion, right? But my purpose, I've got to be there, because at the end of the day, if your career is not aligned with your purpose, you're not going to experience joy.
Right.
You might experience temporary happiness, but not joy. It's a difference.
Absolutely. I love that. And I know you spoke earlier about mentors and coaches, and it's so important in any industry that you invest in good mentors and coaches who are where you want to be. So could you talk a little bit about, you know, some things that listeners should look for when they're looking for good coaches in the television industry?
Coaches in the television industry are kind of it's not a lot. I'll just be honest. You only got a couple choices, and the choices come at a very high rate. Way I kind of got around that is I started going to workshops. The workshops were just a little bit more affordable, and then from the workshops, I ended up hiring people as I needed them. Like I always tell people, it depends on how much work you need. If you're just getting started, it kind of depends on, like back in Detroit, a lot of people go to like Spec Power School of Broadcast, and that's like a really good stepping stone because that's super focused. So it just kind of depends on what your background is, where you're coming from, and how much work you need, and then how much work have you already done. So, like, once I started hosting, I would actually watch and review my footage. I highly recommend that to anyone that's doing television, radio, podcast, anything. You got to watch it because you're supposed to constantly be improving, right? So I would watch it and say, I don't like my, after appearance, first, women, if women are watching, we're like, I don't like my hair. I still don't wear that dress. I don't know. After that, it's like, okay, my rate was too fast. I should have had more energy. Could I have connected more with my interviewee? You're breaking stuff down, so I was really good at that already. I just needed someone to tell me, what do I need to do when I'm on a red carpet? How do I need to pitch to get to national TV? What do you think I need to do for a live audience? It just was certain scenarios where I just felt like I could glean on someone that's been doing this 10 years. Now, I'm not saying everybody's got to do 10 years to be an expert. Some people are like, I was on TV for like 5 minutes and I became an expert. But that's because of my entrepreneurship background, right? So, like, stuff builds. So I think you have to talk to somebody. You've got to actually have a conversation with them, which is rare because like myself, I don't do discovery calls and all that type of stuff because if somebody want to work with me, they already know what I have to offer. So I don't have to, like, sell people on working with me. But even if it's an email, if they will hop on a quick call, just to make sure it works, because I think you have to have a certain level of rapport, right? Like, if you don't get along with somebody and you don't gel with them, you're not going to receive when the correction comes, right? And so, like, for me, I've been coaching half my life, right? So I know how to be real with people. Like I always tell people, you do not pay me to be your friend. You pay me for results. Friendship might come. I'm friends with tons of my clients. But that is not the motive. The motive is for you to be great. And I always tell people, if you want someone to sugarcoat you and just tell you, you're amazing, you're great, you're the best that ever did it, don't hire me. Because I'm not doing that. Because you're not going to improve. You want to hire somebody that is going to be so real, so honest, probably hurt your feelings, maybe cry, but because it's coming from a place of love and not judgment, they really want you to be better. That's something that you got to look into, and then see, like, either what they've done in terms of their accolades or what their clients have done. What I think is challenging now is, like, the top coaches. One of them was a TV host, former, anchor, reporter. She's done it all. I feel like a solid. I haven't had the opportunity to work with her, but she's amazing. The other lady comes on the agent side, so she has never been on TV. And I'm kind of like one of those people where I don't like to work with people that have never sat in my shoes. If you've never done it, now granted, you might have hired some hosts, but you've never done it. You don't know what it feels like when those lights hit you. You don't know what it feels like to have a co-host. You don't know what it feels like to do a red carpet. You don't know what it feels like to be in an active crime scene. You just don't know. So I don't feel like that type of person can help me. Like, that's like saying I'm a business coach now. I've never had a business. What? People are doing it because you see it all day on Instagram, because you can put up a graphic and you can look like you've been in business. And when I tell people I've been in business half my life, they're just like, what? Mindset. So I think you got to do your research, and research can look different, because some people reach out to me because of Instagram. They're like, oh, my God, your Instagram is beautiful. You got to know what you're doing. You're great. Oh, you used to be on TV. You're great. But it's like, get to know that person. Like, ask them questions and think about the questions. Don't ask basic questions like, oh, what is your degree in, and, what did you go to school for? And that was like 20 years ago, and that's like irrelevant. Like, what are you doing, and what results have you had, and what are your clients doing?
Absolutely. Doing your research. That is so important, listeners. Make sure you're doing your research. As you stated, Jessica, because like you said, a lot of people are social media business owners. You're right. So make sure that you are doing your research. So you also are doing some other amazing things that you already have discussed with our giving back to our younger generation. So you are the CEO and founder of Jessica Jules Pageant Coaching. So tell us more about your company.
Yes. So that's kind of where I started. I started that company 15 years ago out of a need. I was competing in pageants. One time I sprained my ankle, wasn't able to compete. I was 15. And one of the judges was like, hey, the director of the pageant called and was like, hey, I know you got hurt, but you got a great reputation. Would you like to judge? And I was like, okay, sure, why not? And so we slicked my hair back. But mind you, I have such a baby face. I don't even know why they allowed me to even do this. But I slicked my hair in a bun, put on the suit. By the time the pageant was over, I had a line of parents. And I was just like, what are you guys here for? And they're like, we want you to coach our daughter. I was like, for what? For pageants. Clearly, if you're judging, I heard your bio, coach me. By the end of the pageant, I had like 20 new clients. And that's kind of how my business started. By the next pageant, I had Letterman jackets, and I've been featured in magazines, cover of magazine with my clients. I've been on Collars and Tiaras. I've been on other TV shows. So I really leaned all the way into it. And then I transitioned Jessica Jules Pageant Coaching to Jessica Lundy International, which is what I'm doing now. So now I am a student motivational speaker. I am a goal-setting strategist. So I speak at high schools and colleges all across the country, and I just really prepare them for success with real-world experience. And the results are phenomenal. I mean, it's just exciting. I've always been a huge advocate for transformation. I've always worked with, I hate to be one of those people because you're never supposed to be like, I work with everybody. But I kind of do. You got to know when to niche and market to whoever you're speaking to. But I primarily work with youth, and then I work with women. There's just always been It's always been a strength of mine. I love working with women on the life coaching side, business coaching, and then students just overall as a motivational speaker. I love to go into school, do an assembly with 1,000 students. I have a new book out, which is so exciting. Wake Up and Win, the Student Guide to Success. It's doing amazing, and students are really loving it because it's very interactive, like a book and a workbook all in one. I mean, I tried to write it for the 15-year-old me. What did I need in ninth grade? What did I need in middle school? What did I need in college that would have really got me even more focused on my goals? And what would have kept me accountable? And I think accountability is a word people don't like, but is a word that is necessary for success.
Amazing. And some congratulations on your book, Wake Up and Win. Congratulations
Thank you.
on that.
I appreciate it. I'm super excited.
Yes. And how can listeners book you for their speaking events? Because for your speaking events or anything they might have they would like for you to come out to do, as well as how can they buy your book too as well?
Absolutely. So all things Jessica is JessicaMLundy.com, LUNDY.com. And so that has booking requests on there. It has more information about coaching with me under my life manager section. Everybody's life coaches is an overused word, so I use life manager. And it had the information about my book, my affirmation CD, and we have a couple of different versions. We have the affirmation CD for everyone, and then we have one specifically for students. So just exciting things going on. And then on social, I'm Jessica Lundy TV on all platforms. And I do answer questions. And if you say, hey, I was watching Ashley's show and I heard this and this, can you expound about this? Or I am looking for a business coach, or I am looking for a speaker for my next conference, definitely reach out. The booking request form is the easiest, so then I can kind of see, like, what you're doing. Or if you're even wanting bulk orders. I sell my books in bulk a lot. I was just telling Ashley earlier, I just got a request in for 2,000 books. So that's something that I'm super excited. We're still in negotiations, but it's just even exciting for someone to reach out to you and say they want that, which is great. So.
Yes. And super congratulations on everything once again. And I know that you continuously create and build your own tables, Jessica. So I asked all my guests this question. How did you create your seat at the table?
I built the table. I mean, I think it's a two-step process. One, you have to build your own table. You got to be IKEA, right? You got all the tools. You got all the tools, but you got to build your own table so that no one can take it from you because you own it. That's one take to it, right? The second one is you have to be visible. You have to be everywhere that your potential client, employee is. I mean, I was just talking to a friend of mine. Last week I was at Black Music Honors, and everybody's like, how do you get – now you're always on a red carpet, you're always at an award show, you always hear – I have to be, right? Because if I'm not, people don't remember me, and then I'm there, and then, there I was able to connect with a nationally syndicated talk show. And now we'll be having some meetings to talk about what's next in terms of me being a part of it. So half the battle is, you just got to reach out, because the worst thing someone can tell you is no, and that just puts you in this same situation you already were in. So it really doesn't hurt anything just to reach out, check, go on Eventbrite. You know, you see someone's having a conference. Hey, I'd love to be able to volunteer. Use the V word if you need to. Volunteer. Volunteer is not a bad thing. Work for free, because you can easily go from free to fee if you know what you're doing. But if you've never done something and you want a fee, that doesn't even make any sense. If somebody ain't never cooked before, I'm not paying you for your spaghetti, ma'am. You ain't never made spaghetti. So we have to think about it from that perspective of what can I do for free to get my name out there, to get me in the right circle, so that people are like, man, when I went to Revolt, people were like, didn't I see you last week at the Black Music? Yes, you did. I'm everywhere now. So right. And so people remember you. Celebrities remember you. Like, people always think, like, how do you know so many celebrities? It's not that I, know all these celebrities, but when I'm in a room, I command it. I take that seat. And I actually take the seat next to me for my purse, and the one on the other side for put my feet up, because that's how comfortable I'm at that table. So I think owning your space is key, and then dominating everyone else's space, and do it unapologetically. I think as women, we feel bad for dominating, and men don't, and so I don't either.
I love it. Do it unapologetically. Absolutely. You have to dominate your space and build your own table. If nobody's going to give you a seat, create your own.
Yeah.
I love it.
You be waiting all day. For the man to come. I don't have time for that. It's not productive.
No, it's not. It's not. And we all have a process on our journeys, and a lot of us don't like the pain, right? But the pain is part of the process, and it's the only way to get to the next level. So what did failure teach you on your journey?
You know what? I actually don't believe in failure. I'm one of those people that just doesn't believe in failure, because I have learned from every experience in my life, and only I can define what success and failure is to me. So nothing is a failure to me. Let's say I do an event and no one shows up. That's not a failure. That's a lesson learned. So it's a lesson. I mean, life is just about all these different checkpoints and doing the best you can. I hear so many different statistics about billionaires that have filed for bankruptcy multiple times. And if you don't have the right mindset, you could judge them and say, wow, they're not really good with their money. But they still got to $1 billion, right? Because they were willing to try some things. And so I think a lot of times people don't try. They let fear overtake their life, and it really is a stronghold. And they really just need to embrace it and do it anyways. Anything that I did fearful, I've never regretted. It was always like, dang, I'm so glad I did that, or why didn't I do that sooner? That's usually what people say. Why didn't I do that sooner? And then if it doesn't work out, like, who cares? It's something you can check off the list of things you don't want to do. But I think you just have to jump in. Just got to dive in and hope for the best. But let me, one thing I didn't touch on is support. The only way you're going to make it in this business is support. I have an amazing team. My husband, tons of people know him in the business. He is my videographer, photographer, graphic designer. So everybody's always like, who does all your stuff? My husband. So we are a power couple. We are a team. But if it wasn't for his support and my mom's support, they keep me grounded. When everybody's like, oh, my God, Jessica's doing all this stuff, they keep me grounded. Like, hey, are the dishes done? Are you taking care of yourself? When are you going on vacation? You've been working too much. So you have to keep a really good circle. I mean, that really is the key. That, for me, prayer is important as well. So having faith is important, because at the end of the day, because I do know millionaires and billionaires, some are happy, some aren't. I know money is not enough. And people can say it, right, because everybody's chasing money. You're chasing it. But then when you see people that got it, and you're like, they still not have it. Or, wow, they on their fifth wife. Or, they're not happy. They're not experiencing joy. So that taught me very early on I'm just going to give 150% to everything I do and just lean into it. And then if something bores me, then I'll do something else. I mean, that's the cool thing about being a millennial is as soon as we get bored with something, we just move on to something else. But what I tell a lot of the older generation is it's not that we're indecisive and that we can't, we have all these fear of commitment and that we're so bored. We have made the choice to be happy. And I think that needs to be rewarded instead of put down as unstable, because I would rather be like now I'm like the happiest place in my life, but I had to bet on me.
Yeah.
And it worked. And even on the days that are challenging, like I'm going to be honest, because everybody's like, man, Jessica's so positive all the time. I am positive because it is a choice, but every day is not perfect for me. I just keep going. And if I do a project and it doesn't work, like, man, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I've done some stuff like that, and I was like, I thought people were going to like it better. People didn't ask for it. I gave them what I thought they wanted, not what they told me they wanted. And that's why you have to listen to your audience.
Yes, I'm loving all of this amazing nuggets, for our listeners. I know you're learning a lot from Jessica tonight. So, Jessica, what did success teach you on your journey?
What did success teach me?
Yes.
You got to stay there. I think that's the biggest thing is once you get on top, you got to stay on top. And so you have to figure out, kind of like weight loss, right? You lose a bunch of weight, and then you're like, I just want to eat what I want to do. I just want to eat what I want. And then you gain the weight back, and you're like, oh, dang. That's kind of how success is, where once you become successful, and success is defined by whatever you think it is. I always tell you, but don't just define it by money or fame and all of that, because some people, that's not their desire. I mean, they want to be just a garbage man for the rest of their life. That's fine. If that's your definition of success, then do it. Be the best garbage man that you can be, But to be successful, you've got to stay at the top. And that's the hardest part of success. That's why a lot of people don't make it, because it's a lot of work to stay there. It's actually harder to stay there even to get there, because getting there can take several years, but staying there takes a lifetime. And so it's like, how do you continue to keep reinventing yourself? How do you continue to keep your audience excited? How do you continue to work with even better brands, work with better companies? That's a lot of pressure. And so I think you have to be willing to keep working. Like, I guess the biggest thing success taught me is there's no end to it. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, because we're all like on this hamster wheel trying to make it. And it's like, well, when have I made it? When have I made it? Well, you got to keep going. Because if you stop, then you're going to be broke, right? If you stop, then no one knows who you are. If you stop, you're in the same spot or even worse than you were before, because then then you become a has-been, which is even worse. So I think success has taught me that you just got to stop. You just have to keep going until you get to the point where you don't care. Like, I feel like somebody like a Steve Harvey that's got like 19 shows at this point, at any moment he could just be like, I'm good. Like, I dominated comedy. I dominated television. I dominated talk show hosts. I did everything. I'm done. And I'm pretty sure he has invested well enough to say that. But for a lot of people, even celebrities, people hear about celebrities all the time that were super hot one week and then weren't the next, because you got too comfortable. So I think it's not getting comfortable and just hustle.
I love it. Keep going, right? That's the key to that. Keep going.
You got to keep going. Yeah.
Keep going. So tell our listeners, what do you have planned for the rest of 2019? We're walking into the fourth quarter, Jessica, and I know you're going to finish it strong. So what do you have planned for the rest of 2019?
Wow, to be honest, I'm so far into 2020 right now. When people ask me about 2019, I'm like, are we still talking about that? That's the first thing I want to say, because that's something one of my mentors told me. When I found out that a lot of my friends were booked, I'm booking out a conference right now for May 2020. So I think we have to think long-term mindset instead of short-term. Fourth quarter is going to be strong because of great planning, right? I'm in this program right now at Cornell University on women's entrepreneurship, and it's amazing. So super excited about finishing that.
You know what?
soon.
We're both in that program.
Oh, awesome. Their program is great. I don't know who told me about it, but super excited I did it. I think it's going to be great for multiple reasons. I think it just looks good. And then promoting the book. I mean, that's kind of the big thing right now is promoting the book, the speaking tour. I'm also not really talking about it too much, but I'm also hosting a live game show with Toyota, which is super exciting. So
amazing. Okay.
Yeah, they're a great client to work with, and yeah, just staying focused and just keeping the momentum, being at the right places at the right time, and being active, being present, and continuing the momentum. That really is the key to going into 2020 strong. My goal by the end of fourth quarter is to be booked out for the year, for 2020. That's where my goal is now, is to be booked out for the year. So that when January 1st hits, and everybody's like, what do you have going on? I got 37 speaking engagements.
And I'm sure you will have that.
Yes, yes, I will. Yeah, I really will.
Well,
you got to do the work. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on everything that you have going on. Like I said, you're always doing some amazing things, and because I know you're going to finish 2019 strong. So super congratulations on everything that you have going on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You as well.
Thank you. So this has been an amazing interview. I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come to the table to share your knowledge with my listeners. And I can't wait to invite you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, this has been great. I always tell everybody, listen to this again, right? So if there's a recording of it, listen to it again, because sometimes you listen to it the first time for entertainment. The second time you listen to it, you're somewhere a little bit more quiet. You can take notes and just really let the different things that I share resonate with you where you are now and maybe where you are maybe a month or a couple months from now.
Absolutely. For all of our listeners, we all should be listening more than once to platforms like this that are here to help give you those strategies and give you their successes and failures to help you get to the next level. So will you please tell our listeners how they can follow and support you on all social media platforms?
Yes. So you can, all things Jessica, you can go to Jessica M as in Monday, Jessica M. Lundy, LUNDY.com. That's all things Jessica. You'll see all my photos. You'll see demo reels. See everything. You'll learn a lot about me there. And then everywhere on social, Jessica Lundy TV. You can't miss the picture. I think I have on like a pink dress or a purple dress, something like that.
Yes, you cannot miss her with her pink. I love it.
Yeah, I love pink. I'm super girly. I can't help it.
Yes. So please follow her. Jessica Lundy is someone to know, okay, and someone to connect with. So follow her on all social media platforms. Jessica, thank you again for coming to the table, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. So I would like to give a special thanks to Tammy Collins-Marquis and John Schamberger. I would also like to give a special thanks to author Kimberly McLemore and to my intern, Sarah, from Tennessee State University. And you all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you. Another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.